So I'm thrilled to be here. I want to thank David and the committee for inviting me. I'm just so impressed with the energy and the setting and the technology. And I went to California School of Professional Psychology in Fresno, so I'm back in California. So this is one of my favorite topics, working with resistance, which I'm never quite sure what that says about me exactly, that I like working with resistance. But I think there's ways to do it that can be effective. So I would define resistance as defensive, any defensive behaviors, manners of relating, inhibitory mechanisms that are evident in the therapy relationship. Basically, resistance could be defined as defenses that are manifest in the therapy relationship. And as such is really the opposite of rapport, which could be defined as the degree of emotional contact between the patient and therapist, as defined by David Mallon. Here, the therapeutic fork in the road is a fork we're often facing, or probably always facing, where this left side is self at worst, false self. It tends to be defensive. The problem is that it's familiar and comfortable. Someone who tends to be oppositional, someone who tends to be withdrawn and isolated, someone who tends to react in an aggressive way. And then we're always looking for these emergent phenomena where we can access self at best. You might see a little glimmer, we call the blade of grass through the concrete. You see a little glimmer of that. You'll see this in some of the videos. We say, well, if you don't go with the familiar, comfortable, self-averse, defensive position, can we experiment with this? The problem being, the difficulty being, it's unfamiliar and uncomfortable, even though it's healthy. It's very interesting because I used to work more over here and really look at and explore what is blocking, what is pathological, what's not getting in the way. Very interesting. And one experience like this, and it tends to be very self-motivating. Someone has a sense of what it's like to feel free, or a sense of what it's like to be able to access those internal resources, a sense of what it's like not to be conflicted. And then ask them, you'll see that. Hopefully you'll see that in this video of this young man, where he really is able to do that and access a very different way. At the same time, you see a lot of this tremulousness, because he's very uncomfortable doing it, and it's positive. But he's saying over, this is strange, this is odd, this is unfamiliar. So it's a very interesting fork in the road. So, yes?
And this is all in first session? You don't have to develop the strong rapport that you're doing?
Right. A part of the idea is you're really establishing a different kind of relationship from the very beginning. So you'll see in the first 5 minutes with this patient of my pointing out his self-criticism and just highlighting that. 30 minutes later, pointing out his detachment from me. So the idea being not that you need to wait to develop a relationship to do that, but that is how you develop the relationship. By have this very different way of relating. It's like saying we're going to relate not up here. We're going to really try to relate here, at that place. So it's very interesting when you do that. You just jump right to that and see what happens. Other questions? Yes?
What's different inside of you to make that happen, to be in that right? I mean, how are you there in asking him those core affective phenomena kind of questions?
Say a little more about that. What do you?
How are you getting into the right brain connection? What is
Okay.
has shifted inside of you as you over the years?
Right. That's a great question, because in training, I do a lot of training of people now, either locally, long distance, whatever. And it's really that idea of slowing down and deepening, giving up the sense that you know what's happening or know where you're trying to go, trying to get there. It's really that moment-to-moment tracking. And hopefully we'll see in the very last videotape of a young man where it's all sensation, all right brain. He has no idea where this is going. We're just sticking with it. And what's emerging is as surprising to him as it is to me. So in a way, it's as if it's very hard to do,
But in a way, when you do it, it's easier to do because you give up on all of those ideas about trying to figure out where you're going, how to make sense of this, should the person get a divorce or not. You know, you really, if you can help them have access to their self at best, they can make those decisions. So it's really just, it's a lot of process work, containing, facilitating, encouraging, and it's as much about what you're not doing, really resisting that temptation to take over, to give the answer, and that's what this slide is about, is not taking the reciprocal role. If they don't know, really resisting that tendency to give them the answer, but helping them find the answer.